Alright, today we're going to talk about Project X. It is a game by Mash Games, yes, another one. It's recently been doing the rounds on Instagram. You'll find it under PJX Game. And yes, it's another game that he's working on, presumably alongside ScootX and BMX Streets. I say presumably because, well, Mash's messaging has never been his strongest suit, and we don't actually know where he's at with those games. Certainly on PC, BMX Streets, the online isn't working, Mod.io integration is still a bit wonky right now. And maybe from my own personal perspective, some of the physics feels a bit wonky as well, so I hope at the very least some of that stuff's still going to be fixed. And of course the bigger issue is console. The game has had very few updates, it's kind of in a bit of a wonky state from what I've seen. I don't have a console myself to play it, but from what a lot of people have said, it's not doing too well. It needs kind of Mod.io integration to kind of get anybody to keep playing it longer term. There's a whole bunch of things on that end that needs fixing. Presumably it will, we just don't know when. One interesting thing to note is Mash said that whatever device thing he uses for doing updates or fixing things on console is currently broken, or it was broken, and that's delayed a lot of things. So that may be one reason why a lot of that stuff isn't going on. Again, Mash doesn't really talk about it, so we don't know for sure. That was something he brought up in the Discord though, so that's one thing we can maybe guarantee. Anything more than that, we don't really know, to be honest. And of course this ScootX, which is also, I think originally that was basically a way to kind of fund further development in BMX Streets. It seems like it's been mostly left behind. All of this stuff is supposed to share the same engine, so theoretically updates to one influence others, but I'm not sure how much of that is really the case at this point. From people who have been in the ScootX community at the very least, they seem to think it's kind of been left aside. And maybe that was the kind of intention, it was just a quick release and then kind of moving on to the next thing. Which brings the question of this is a new mountain biking downhill game that he's working on. How much of this is going to be a greater long-term project versus another kind of quick release using the same engine, which maybe see a few updates and be half complete before the next thing comes along? Because we've seen in the past he's worked on like a skateboarding game. A long time ago he also did like a snowboarding thing. Theoretically he could keep churning these out and not necessarily complete them. That's not to say he won't do that, but given his track record so far of everything being slightly broken in terms of its state, I wouldn't assume these would be fully fledged out complete games in the very end. Or at least he's got a growing list of games to work on at the same time, so progress is presumably going to slow down a lot of these. And again, because I've had people on Mash's team kind of get mad at a previous video where I was somewhat critical of this stuff. Maybe if we had better messaging, we'd be able to explain what's going on with this stuff to an audience even better. Right now we're in the dark. Messaging has always been Mash's problem. We don't know what's going on, we don't know what he's working on or why, or what the future thing is, so we just kind of have to go blindly into it and see what happens, I guess. How somebody hasn't jumped in to do some of that stuff for him and kind of like inform everybody where we're at. Because at least if some people know, then they can spread that message to other people, and then they can make an informed decision themselves whether they want to continue supporting the game or not. If something's not going to be worked on, you should probably make it clear. Or if, I don't know, if there's plans, it'd be nice to know, because then we can maybe be a bit more like invested in a game. Right now, it feels like Streets is coming to an end in terms of its significant updates. So yeah, my investment in the game right now is I was kind of getting a bit tired of it anyway. And I think a few of the content creators are also in a similar position, like they've kind of had their fill. I've actually seen one or two. I know Just Jamie and the Don Bro are like, we're not going to support Mash anymore. Presumably because of this release and some of the other issues that have come out at the same time. In my case, I don't really know where I stand, to be honest. I'm just sort of sitting back and letting it all happen and kind of judge from there, I guess. BMX Streets has always kind of been a very big part of my channel, and it's a game that I still enjoy. It's maybe not in its best state for me, at least. But still, it's given me a lot of enjoyment, and presumably it will still do that in the future. Whether I'd recommend it to other people is maybe a separate thing. But yeah, I generally don't want to get involved too much in the drama side of things. But maybe report on this because it's a thing that's out there now. Maybe if this informs your decision or gives you something to think about, you can maybe judge for yourself on what you want to do. I'm not really going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, to be honest. I could maybe be classed as fence sitting But honestly, I'm kind of tired and fed up of online discourse. If you know my channel, I generally just sort of chill out and play this stuff. I don't really want to get too involved in the drama side of things. Okay, so this is a bit of a rambly video. The way this game flows together, like just watching this loop, it does look pretty impressive at the very least. But I'm not going to just say the game's bad or whatever, given all the other stuff that's going on. Like, we've got working suspension here. Some of this stuff seems to be like pretty robust looking. It's actually a lot smoother than what's going on in BMX Streets, so I don't know if it's a different physics engine or if some of the stuff that's in here is going to get put over to Streets. Who knows, to be honest. It's kind of interesting looking at some of the comments here. I really hope the dev team isn't related to MASH games. 5+ years full of empty promises were enough. I can't do this a second time. There's definitely going to be a subset of people that are just kind of burnt out on this sort of thing. Maybe don't have much hope for this game, which is a legitimate response. Like, given the history up until this point, it is hard to trust anything will be significant or complete going forward. Will the game be any good? There's no way to know for sure until we actually see it ourselves. I guess because I do a channel, it's maybe, well, just part of doing it to get the game and show it off and then let people make decisions for themselves. At least when it comes to mods and those sort of things, I'm kind of not going to spend any more money on any of that stuff. I don't think. I am for supporting mod makers, but I'm not sure if that's just turning into a thing to kind of be supplementary income for MASH without him really doing a lot to fix some of the issues. So that side of things is a bit iffy. Like, it's both sides. Support mod makers, but not support kind of the overall way things are going with these games. It's a bit of a difficult position, to be honest. And honestly, there's a lot of free mods and free things out there, so you've got all the choices you want if you don't want to spend any money. If you bought the game already, you may as well play it. It doesn't really make much difference at that point. Oh god, I can imagine the comments. Actually, like, whatever happens, people are going to be annoyed. Either me or MASH or everybody. It's just the internet, isn't it? People like to get mad. And it can be justified. No, I'm not going to say don't get mad, because who am I to say how you should feel? I think I'm just reaching the age where I'm just sort of over stressing too much about a lot of this stuff. Just do what I enjoy, because in the end none of this will matter. We'll all be on our deathbeds and none of this will make any difference in the end. Well, the clothes physics look kind of good. I don't think that's in BMX Streets. And just the way it flows seems like it's pretty good, so there's some effort put into it. Scoot X didn't really have anything specific scooter related done to it apart from the textures and the models. It basically felt like you were riding a BMX, but it was a different shape. So that was kind of a bit of a shame, I think. And it doesn't seem like much more effort's going to go into that, so it is what it is. There is scooter flow, and also Scoot as well, if you have other options that you want to support. I think all of them are kind of in a work in progress state, so you may be somewhat lacking with whichever choice you go with in that sense. Now, we're going to BMX Streets. I had a bit of MASH cash, or fuck bucks, or whatever the hell it's called, left over, so I figured I'd get a mountain bike. Because you can't actually, like, get your money back or anything like that. I figure I may as well use it on something. There's this Binary SC Dirt Jump Complete Pack. There's this, and there's also this Dirt Jumper Pack as well. I was also curious about this. Actually, I suppose I could afford it. I don't know. We'll see. I've got 500 left, so I may as well use it on something at some point. So maybe if you're annoyed with the current state of things, you could just get a mountain bike through this and play on the dirt maps. So you don't really spend too much extra money, but you've still got to buy the bikes with MASH cash. The one issue is, if you're against MASH's practices right now, we don't really have many other options when it comes to a BMX game. There's BMX Bastards, but the dev is currently on hiatus with other stuff. And the game as is, I don't know if I could really recommend it to people as a complete experience. This is definitely a lot more robust in what you can do. Like, for all the times I've been complaining about how the game feels, it's still in a more complete state. In the end, I can get into this and sort of goof around a bit and have fun. Maybe less than I used to, because I'm not really too much of a fan of how it feels. I'm hoping some of that stuff gets fixed, but it's maybe hard to know at this point what the end goal is. Is Mash satisfied with the way it feels? In that case, there's not much we can do, except maybe Mod could fix some of the more wonky aspects, potentially. Interestingly enough, dirt in this game has always been one of the more wonky aspects of the game. That's been the case since Pipe as well. It's usually very hard to ride well. If you just try and focus on getting through the jumps, it's maybe not too bad. Oh god. That's just me sucking in that case. But yeah, a game dedicated to this sort of thing may scratch an itch for some people. I don't really know what the opinion is on the other options out there. But at least there are options. You do have a bit of choice. BMX games. It would be nice if there was another person that came in with their own approach, their own sim that works good. Well, we made it through at the very least. Anyway, I don't want to be too rambly in this video. I was kind of dreading doing it, just because I know it's going to be like a firestorm of opinions either way. Some people will just support Mash regardless. Other people will be very negative about it. Everybody has their own viewpoint. There's no kind of right or wrong answer. All I would say is, at the very least, if the game's broken, I think it's nice to assume that it will get fixed. Or I would very much expect it to be. And if it's not, then that's a very significant criticism you can make. We don't know what the plan is. Will everything be fixed and sorted out in the end? Or if the mountain bike community gets really into Project X and makes Smash a ton of money, does he have any incentive to come back to this? He could just leave it. He will burn some of the community, but he'll also have a huge new community to deal with, which will probably drown out some of those voices. Alright, I've been rambling far too much in this video. At the very least, hopefully it's given you some insight into what's going on in terms of the situation with different things. Then you can make your own decision what you want to do. If you want to stop supporting Mash, I think that's fair enough. If you still like the games, then continue to play them, especially if you bought them. I guess when that game comes out, Project X, I'll maybe cover it, just because I'm curious to see how it ends up. Will it be a mess or not? And then you can all look at it and judge for yourself what you think. Probably the best way to go about things, right? In the meantime, I'm going to have fun playing games which aren't related to all this nonsense. Probably Session. Actually, I should probably check out some of those other mountain bike games. Cranked and Mavericks. So if there's one you'd like me to see over the other, let me know. Because I think if this is going to be a thing that's happening, I should probably give the other ones a fair shot as well, right? And on that note, I will see you in the next video. Try and get a hang five on top of this quick, see what happens. Ooh, okay, that didn't work. Right, see you later.